After a weak position ranking last week, we are back with another loaded position for this week's rankings video, the small forwards. This position is crucial to team success, and helping your team be successful is a key factor in my rankings this week. We start at 15 with Michael Porter Jr. MPJ showed us glimpses of being a reliable third star last season and carried it into this year as he played 81 games, which is 19 more games than he has ever played in a season. After the 2023 season, I expected him to take another leap this year. Unfortunately, nothing really changed in his level of production, nor did he show us any huge improvement, leaving him at 15th on my list. Chris Middleton comes in at 14 on my list despite him being one of the overhated players in the league. Injuries have derailed him ever since he went off in the Bucks championship run, but fully healthy, he has shown us he can still hoop. We saw this in the playoffs as Dame and Giannis both were injured, allowing him to be the number one option, and he scorched the Indiana Pacers defense, reminding us of who he really is. Every year I say if healthy, he's one of the best at his position, but saying if healthy now just seems to be wishful thinking rather than realistic thinking at this point. They got KD, but we got Jaden McDaniels may have been the quote of the playoffs, as we were all confused on what we would get from him in the postseason. We got much more than we expected, as we knew how good he was going to be on the defensive end, but on offense he showed out. With him showing out the way he did and knowing how young he still is, I think putting him at 13 is a good spot for now, assuming he will take another step forward offensively. Rising young wing Franz Wagner excelled this season with the Orlando Magic, helping them to the playoffs. Say what you want about the Game 7 performance, because I will agree with you, it was awful. But something we cannot doubt is that he is an elite co-star to Paolo and can complement the offense in an elite way given the high IQ he has. Franz is limited in his game as he still cannot seem to figure it out with the outside shot in the NBA, so if he figures that side of the game out, he will find himself in the top 10 instead of his current spot at 12. Miles Bridges comes to us at 11, and if it weren't for him playing in Charlotte and his off-the-court issues, he would have received much more recognition for the season he just had. Averaging 21, 7, and 3 on decent efficiency, something you don't get from anybody, especially while playing on a horrible team, seemed to go unrecognized by NBA media. I was wishing for him to be traded at the deadline, or at least relocating during free agency, but he decided to stay in Charlotte, which upsets me as someone who believes he does not get the recognition he deserves. A change of scenery would do wonders for his perception around the league, but for now he finds himself at 11, although you could make a case for him to be higher. Arguably the starting power forward for the Rising Thunder team, Jalen Williams is actually the small forward, which means he finds himself on this list. In his rookie year, we saw the potential early, but this season J-Dub took an amazing leap as he averaged 19, 4, and 5 on 54, 43, and 81 shooting splits in his second season. Williams also plays high-level defense, and with his two-way versatility and ability to play on or off the ball, he's going to be the elite co-star next to SGA for years to come, and I honestly wouldn't be surprised if he jumps up even more on this list next year. For as much negativity surrounding the Grizzlies last season, one positive was the level of production Desmond Bane brought while staying efficient. When healthy, Bane was torching defenses with little help, and the big change in his game allowing him to be more effective was the development of his own shot creation, as well as the playmaking ability he used to lack. Adding these two components to his game allowed for him to take his game to the next level, and is a huge reason I believe a healthy Grizzlies team can be dangerous, likewise to what many of us expect. DeMar DeRozan has been one of the most prolific scorers in the game for years, and although he is getting up there in age, that has not shown signs of regression. Master of the mid-range allows DeMar to be an elite isolation scorer and allows him to keep scoring no matter how bad of a situation he is in. Obviously, he has glaring deficiencies in his game, but it seems like everyone focuses more on those than what he actually does, and although I am factoring those deficiencies into the list, I still have him at 8 pretty easily. Brandon Ingram is my 7th guy, and he 100% has an argument to be higher, but given the recent turmoil with him, I wonder how much it will affect him next season. Yes, this list isn't based on the future, but this isn't something I can turn a blind eye to when talking about him. As the prolific scorer he is, the defensive side of the ball is a big question, and on offense he does have bad moments, so I can't possibly put him higher than 7 since he can't defend and he does have awful moments on offense that end up hurting his team. I actually give Mikal Bridges the edge over Ingram because the stats are almost identical, but the defense and reliability heavily tips in Mikal's favor. Playing in every game last season and doing what he did on both ends for a below-average Nets team is quite impressive. He clearly is not a one option like he had to be in Brooklyn, so he didn't always have the greatest showings on offense, but playing a more suitable, less reliant offensive role next season will show us that he is a better player than Brandon Ingram, and it will not be as much of a debate. I would not be mad at you if you flipped him and Ingram, though. Both are great players. Speaking of elite defense, Mikal Bridges' new teammate, OG Anunoby, comes to us at 5. In my opinion, OG was the best free agent available this offseason, as he can guard positions 1 through 5 and can complement any players with his ability to shoot the 3 at a high clip. He may in fact be the best defender in the NBA at the wing position, and that allows him to be at the 5 spot, despite not having offensive numbers that really jump out at you. Health is a big concern for me, though. You saw it in the playoffs, but health has bothered him in his entire career. So I honestly can't put him over other guys that have the same health concerns because, realistically, OG Anunoby may be a great defender, but his offensive production is a little overrated. Although he's an excellent three-point shooter and an excellent mover without the basketball. The biggest move in the offseason was Paul George heading to Philly, and he also has the same health concerns that OG Anunoby and other players have. However, my biggest concern with him outside of health is the drop-off in his defensive ability, because he has been slowly dropping on that end of the floor, and defense used to make him who he was, and age does hurt players on both ends, so I'm wondering when we will see this happen to his offensive game. It's starting to get dangerous, the amount of ups and downs and inconsistencies what we see with Paul George on both ends of the floor. So, despite a great offensive showing that he put on in 71 games this season, he earns himself the 4th spot with a lot of concern about his ability to maintain a top 5 small forward play next season. It may come as a surprise to some of you, but I have the Finals MVP over PG at 3, as Jaylen Brown put on an amazing offensive showing this year as he averaged 23, 6, and 4 while guarding many top players in the league on defense. If you were to say he only plays well on the defensive end of the floor because of the super team he plays on, you would be 50% right, as he does play on a super team. But the reason you can't say his defense is only from that is because of the way he plays defense. Jaylen Brown picks up everyone full court and pressures them for 94 feet, something that should be draining, but then he comes back on the other end and is relied upon heavily. The way he impacts winning is one of a kind, and with him being a reliable two-way co-star on the best team in the league, it is hard to argue him anywhere but 3 or higher. I don't really see this as controversial, but it may be for some people, but Jimmy Butler is at 2 for me, and make no mistake, Jimmy Butler has earned this spot with his play since he has been in Miami, and 1 year where he has hurt the entire postseason will not change that. Leading inferior teams to deep playoff runs can only be done by special players. Jimmy Butler keeps doing it time and time again when odds are against him. He is a true winner and the second best small forward in the NBA. Even though he is getting up there in age and his defense is taking a massive hit, if you can lead a team the way he has been leading teams, you deserve to be top 3 in your position. And he is the number 1 option on a team that somehow finds their way in the finals every other year. So I'm keeping Jimmy Butler at number 2. He would be number 1, but the number 1 player is obviously LeBron James, as he is easily the best small forward in the NBA. Maybe going into year 30 or 40, whichever one it is, but LeBron is still elite and is the best player at this position, so I will not be overthinking it, and I will be putting the King at 1. Next week we have the Power Forwards video, but if you need to catch up on the 2 prior lists, click on the videos on the screen. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Y'all stay safe. Have a good one. Bye.